Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again. Today I want to bring you a review of the Titan X3 rack, which I've been using for a couple of weeks, and I think it's due time that I did a review on it because, let's be honest, I've had my fair share of time playing around with racks. It doesn't take that long for me to get to really know it. That being said, when it comes down to it, it's simply used for lifting weights, so it's not that complicated, but still, it is a big investment for a lot of us, and it's typically something we only buy once. We don't just go out and buy racks every single year. It's typically a one-time investment, and you want to make sure you spend your money right. So let's get into it and let's take a look at the Titan X3 Power Rack. So the rack we're going to be taking a look at today again is the X3 rack, and for the X3 that means it's a 3x3 rack when you're taking a look at the actual posts. Now Titan offers a couple different versions and variations of this, namely you can get them to be a short version, which this one is. So the normal height on these racks is 90 inches. I have an 80-inch one here because I have a shorter ceiling here in my basement. They also offer varying levels of depth. This particular one is the 24-inch, but you can get a deeper rack if need be, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video. You'll also notice the feet on this rack can be bolted down, and they also offer a flat foot variation of it. This particular rack is not the flat foot version, but I do have a 10-inch extension kit on it, which is the flat foot variant, and I'll talk about that too later on in the video. So in the upper area of the post, you'll have 2-inch spacing throughout. These are things for like squats and overhead press, where the rack I don't think is as important as the bench press. And in the bench press area, you'll have west side spacing, which is only 1 inch apart. So in this case, less is actually more, which is hardly ever the case in real life. But this allows you to get a more precise bench press, unrack, and rack position, which I think is vital for anything. And it's something I really look for when I look at power racks. Now, other things you'll notice on these X3 racks, on the side beams, you'll have space for band pegs. This rack does come with band pegs, which I'll show you here in just a second. And you also get both a fat and skinny bar pull-up option, whereas other times with other rack companies, you might have only the option of one or the other. So it's really nice that you get both here with Titan. So in addition to the 4 band pegs that you get and the fat bar and skinny bar, you get a few other extras thrown in with the purchase of your rack. The first thing you get are 2 adjustable pin safeties to ensure that you don't fail and necessarily decapitate yourself. You also get 2 J-cups, which have the UHMW plastic inserts, which not only protect your bar, but the J-cups over time. And you also get 4 plate holders in order to load weight up on the rack itself, and this can really help add to the stability if you're not bolting it down. So attached to the back of the rack is the 10-inch extension kit that I mentioned. It comes in at $255 as an add-on, and what it does is it adds extra stability and also gives you a little bit more freedom within the rack if you want to use the front or back post for racking and unracking. It moves the weights a little bit further back. Now this particular version is the 10-inch as mentioned. It's also the short version. However, that being said, they don't make one that lines up with the rack itself. So the rack bottom is different than the extension kit, which is a flat foot kit. I should note that they do sell flat foot racks, however, I just don't have that one. And although it looks a little bit funky, it is compatible, it does attach. The biggest downside though is the feet just look different, and the fact that the extension kit being short is 82 inches while my rack is 80 inches, so it just throws it off just a little bit. So let's cover the pros of the Titan Fitness rack. Number one, they're affordable. The X3 is no different here. For comparison's sake, the Rogue equivalent is the RML3, which retails for $755 and has an additional shipping cost of $125, which totals out to about $881. And Rogue doesn't offer a short version of this rack. They do, however, have other racks that are short, but not for this particular one. And you may be charged additionally if you need them to cut it down to fit your space. Now let's compare that to the main X3 short rack I have here. Total cost of the rack ends up being $455, which includes free shipping, which means Rogue option is almost twice as expensive. And as mentioned earlier, Titan has a wide range of products that you can purchase for accessories. I've also found my Rogue Monster Light attachments will all work with this particular rack. Titan also seems to be pretty active on social media platforms and taking feedback from their customers to bring new products and offerings to the market and improve upon some of the cosmetic issues that they've been known for. So let's talk about the cons, and the biggest which is the rack inconsistency in its finishes. And probably the 2 most discussed aspects of this is in their powder coating and their welds. And the powder coating on my X3 actually feels pretty good. I think it looks all right too. And I didn't notice any scuffing from shipping, which appears to be pretty common based off other reviews I've seen. Although in the short time I've owned it, it has acquired some scuffs. Now this isn't a huge concern of mine, as all racks in time will become scuffed and damaged due to excessive use, but the black finish seems to pick it up quicker than I'm accustomed to. One of the more interesting things I've noticed is the powder coating on the extension kit is completely different in both look and feel than on the main rack. So it's weird that they would have this kind of inconsistency within their own equipment.
Now with the welds, they're still a bit sloppy, but have improved some from previous generations. However, when compared to Rogues, it's a night and day difference. In a recent view of Titan's yoke, however, from Garage Gym Reviews, it appears that their welding is now very similar to Rogue, so perhaps as they continue to make new equipment, we'll continue to see some sort of improvement. Now that being said, I don't really pay attention or notice it, so it's not a huge detractor other than just purely cosmetic. Now, a few other quick notes. In the past, there are also concerns about the pin safeties and their use of a welded washer to center the pin, but that's no longer an issue. The J-cups are both on the same side, which could potentially cause some swaying issues. I've also found the plastic to be much more stiff and shiny than the Rogue UHMW plastic. And the rack doesn't seem 100% level. The rear and front feet aren't completely on the ground, and even adding extra weight just doesn't seem to fix this. Of course, this could be fixed by mounting the rack to the ground itself, but that's not something that I currently want to do.
All right, so what's the final verdict on the Titan X-3 Power Rack? Well, to be honest, if you're thinking about building a home gym, you need to consider Titan Fitness. And I'm a true believer. My mindset has changed. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Rogue and I love my rack, but I also would have liked saving a ton of money for a similar quality product, although it has some maybe cosmetic differences, and being able to reinvest some of that money that I saved into other pieces of equipment, which I think for most of us building a home gym, we know how expensive it can get. That's why oftentimes we turn to the second-hand market and used market in order to buy stuff. Titan Fitness is bringing some really high-quality equipment at a very affordable cost with just some simply cosmetic imperfections that are easily overlooked, because at the end of the day, we're in a basement or in a garage, we're banging weights around, things are going to get beat up. They're not supposed to be pretty, but that extra money can be huge when you think of the other things you can buy with it. So definitely consider Titan. I think it should be in the conversation, and they're making things really attractive and really difficult for people like me when it comes to buying equipment. So hopefully this video helped you make that decision. If you have other questions that I didn't answer, make sure you leave that in the comment section below. And in the meantime, as always, thanks for watching and stay big.